see. You had your book last night.
So Earl, maybe this is a question for you.
Lesson 20.
One of the things to watch out for is not eating foods that others would think would make me less spiritual. I mean, what in the world would that be?
Well, let me get into let me get into the class and then we'll get into that, brother. Let's see. Let's start out with a little song to get everybody started to come in online. So let's do it. Welcome everybody that's in here and welcome everybody that's coming in online to the Way of Mastery.
I hear love's voice calling.
Yes.
I hear love's voice calling us home, back where we belong. I hear love's voice calling. I hear love's voice calling us home, back where we came from. Love is calling, it keeps on calling. Love is calling us home. Love is calling, it keeps on calling.
Welcome to a Way of Mastery.
Where we belong.
Ooh, I need this today.
I see the world is turning.
I see the world is turning.
I see the world is turning us on. Forget about our home.
The world's turning us on, we forget about our inner home.
I see the world is turning.
I see the world is turning.
Spinning round, burning out of control. It tries to steal our soul. Love is calling.
Love is calling.
Keeps on calling.
Keeps on calling.
Love is calling us home. Love is calling. It keeps on calling. Back where we belong.
Love is calling us home.
Love is calling us home.
Love is calling us home. Yeah.
Love is calling us home.
We don't have to believe the ideas tonight in the Way of Mastery. We don't have to accept the ideas tonight, welcome the ideas. Some of it's going to be hard to believe. And some of these ideas may bring up resistance and be quite startling. You were not asked to judge the ideas at all and analyze them to death. If you use the ideas, you will recognize that the ideas are true. If you use the ideas will show you that they are true. So let's open ourselves up to love. Be on the lookout for the sentence or the statement that is the reason why you are here tonight. There is some message. There is no accidents. So there's no accident that you are here or watching online. I want to welcome everybody in the room and welcome Christina, Myrna, Blue Sky, Mika, Daniel, Chris, Gail, Chris Lee, Gail Morgan, Casey. Welcome, Casey. Chris. We've seen a lot of mighty companions are starting to come in. And I'm so happy that you are joining us tonight, because I want to go deep. I want to hear some thought-provoking stuff tonight. And I want to ask you to interact with each other online. During the question and answer periods, feel free to type a question out to me, and I will do my best to answer it. Because God is calling us home to love. The Creator is calling us home. It's time for us to go back home to love. It's a content, not a form. Freedom is love under all conditions. That's the lesson we're going to be on tonight. Lesson 29. Lesson 29 on page 333, The Way of Knowing. Page 332, Lesson 29, page 333. Freedom is love under all conditions. Freedom is love. Freedom is love. Freedom is love. Love is freedom. That's a little bit different from the way we approach it. But love is freedom under all conditions. I ask for love. Love is the way I walk in gratitude. There is no love but God's. There is no love but God's. Love is the way we walk in gratitude. Love is freedom. Freedom is love. Love is freedom. Freedom is love. Love is freedom. Freedom is love. We join together. Let's join together. Let's join together. Let's bring our energies and hearts together. Feels good to be with you. I feel you in the room. I feel you online. I feel you in the room. I feel you online. Demola, welcome. Tell yourself that love is freedom. Freedom is love. Freedom is love under all conditions. Freedom is love. Freedom is love under all conditions. Love is freedom. Freedom is love. Love is freedom. Love is freedom. Freedom is love. Love is freedom. Freedom is love. Love is freedom. Freedom is love. Those you limit are not those that you are loving. And if you limit yourself, you're not loving yourself. And the Course in Miracles and the Way of Mastery teaches that freedom is of the mind. Freedom is of the mind. It's not of the body. The freedom is of the mind. Freedom is of the mind. The mind being free of anger. The mind being free of guilt. The mind being free of grievances and fear. That's freedom. That's the real meaning of freedom. Hey, mighty companions.
Hi. What's up, Raj?
Hey, I'm ready to hear some truth. What about you?
Yeah, definitely.
Let me turn this
Please.
a little bit so we won't get feedback. Okay, you ready? Lesson 29. Freedom is love under all conditions. I'm going to go through the, you know this drill, I'm going to go through the paragraphs, and then we're going to see if we can see what the message is for us tonight. Okay. Just might want to listen first. Once again, beloved friends, we join together with you because we remain as committed as you are to discovering ever greater depths of God's presence. That means we are ready to experience ever greater depths of our own presence. ever greater depths of what alone is true always. We want to experience more of what alone is unchanged. We want to get in touch with that love, that presence of the Creator that is unchanging and unchangeable forever. We want to get in touch with a love that we can depend on, that is unchanged and unchanging and unchangeable forever. That's what we're joining together for. We would speak unto you in this lesson of that which deepens the understanding of what's abiding in perfect knowing, in perfect knowledge. We want to get a better understanding of what's abiding in perfect knowing and in perfect knowledge. So we want to address a theme that you have heard before. We're going to address a theme that you have heard before, though from a slightly different perspective. The theme goes by a term that most of you are familiar with. The term is karma. We're going to talk about karma. We're going to talk about karma this evening. Now, karma, as popularly considered, karma means that for every action, there is an equal and opposite action. Karma means that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Do you know that that means for everything you put out, a similar energy returns? For everything you put out, a similar energy returns. Whatever I put out, a similar energy returns. Whatever you put out, a similar energy returns. For every energy I put out, a similar energy returns. For every energy you put out, a similar energy returns. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So I'm going to give what I want to receive. The Course in Miracles says, one of the lessons, I will receive what I'm giving now. I'm going to receive whatever I'm giving right now. So what does that mean? If I'm giving up good energy, and if I'm giving up love, and I'm doing it right now, I'm feeling it right now. Whatever I'm giving you right now is what I'm feeling right now. So it's not like I'm giving it to you right now and then I'm going to experience it later. Actually, I'm feeling what I'm giving you now. That's already happening. Right now, what you're feeling as you sit in here is what you're giving. Deep. That's what you're feeling. You're feeling what you're giving. That's our karma. So, then he goes on to say, now I have said before that karma can exist only where unconditional loving doesn't. So let's say that you feel like you put out some negative energies in the past, and then some people wonder that karma means what they put out at a negative level is something that's going to come back. And what he says in this paragraph is, karma can exist only where unconditional love doesn't. So if I have unconditional love, then I don't have to deal with necessarily any kind of negative energy that I put out in the past, because in this moment, if I'm sharing unconditional love, I'm not putting it out. So I'm going to reap what I'm putting out now, not what I put out yesterday. So this means that to the degree that your mind has been purified of fear, that the mind has not been purified of need, that the mind has not been purified of its tendency toward idolatry, that is creating something which is a substitute for love. So idolatry is anything that I'm creating that's a substitute for love. That's mistaking form for content. Wherever this is occurring, you are indeed experiencing the creation of karma. So I'm experiencing karma wherever I'm giving anything else other than love. And if I'm giving love, unconditional love negates the need for me to receive what we would think of as negative, fearful karma. So, what do we mean by that? Each time you hold an unloving thought, you're going to experience the effect or the fruit of that thought. In reality, there are two levels at which this occurs, or two ways in which it occurs. The first form of the effect or karma is it's immediate. You can have an unloving thought and you can immediately experience the result of that unloving thought. Or you can have unloving thoughts that look like it's being mediated through the forms of time. One of the things that comes to my mind about that is that, have you ever noticed patterns in your relationships? Mm-hmm. Okay, if you've noticed patterns in your relationships, then you're looking at the effects of your thoughts being mediated through the forms of time. That with that energy of attention or thought that you're putting out, that's determining the kind of relationships that you're forming. If they're the same ones, then you continue to experience it over and over again, from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship to another relationship. So the effects of your thoughts are being mediated through the forms of time. Does that make sense? Any comments, any thoughts about that first part before we go into the next part of it? Okay, so let's go back real quick. We're joining together because we want to discover deeper depths of love in the presence of God. Mm-hmm. We want to get in touch with what never changes, what we can always depend on that never changes. I want to love, I want the truth that I can always depend on. Then it goes on to remind us that we want to live in perfect knowing, and that we need to understand that for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, and for every energy that I put out there's a similar energy that's going to come back. But karma can only exist where I'm not being loving. And if I have unloving thoughts, I'm going to get the results of those thoughts, but some of the thoughts I'm going to get the results of immediately. Some of my thoughts are going to be mediated over time, and I'll see those things come back to me over a period of time. Mika, hello. Susan, hello. Amanda, Jerry, welcome to the Way of Mastery. It's good to have you here. It's good to have you online. So also those of you online, feel free to make your comments and also to ask any questions about what I just said. So everybody's cool with that. Nobody has anything to say about that.
So I am so tempted to want to analyze this right now, but
that's okay. I'm not going to join with you in the analyzation, so I have no fear. Okay, what is the analyze about that? What is it about that there's a need to analyze?
Well, the part that I got caught up was in the paragraph. Now I have said before that karma can exist only where unconditional loving does not. This means that to the degree that your mind has not been purified of fear, that the mind has not been purified of need, that the mind has not been purified of its tendency towards idolatry, that is creating something which is a substitute for love.
That's idolatry. That's idolatry. Idolatry is creating something other than love, giving something other than love, substituting something other than love, okay?
Mistaken form for content.
Okay.
Wherever that is occurring, you are indeed experiencing the creation of karma. Yeah. And I'm just saying, like, huh? Like, what does that mean?
It means wherever you are experiencing, wherever you're giving anything other than love, wherever you're holding an unloving thought, you're going to experience the effect or the fruit of that. Like, see what you can do with these books. Here's a tip. All of these wisdom texts constantly restate what they're saying from different points of view. And I've shared this many, many times. I still see you getting caught up on that. To focus on the thing that doesn't make sense just emphasizes your feeling of helplessness. It would be much better to focus on the sentences that do make sense to you and try to act out those sentences to the best of your ability than to take the one sentence that doesn't make any sense to you and then to focus all your time on trying to analyze it, especially since you've been told that the truth is just going to be restated in other ways until you get it. So what I'm doing is trying to save you from a trick that the ego plays, that part of us that wants to keep us in the dark. And this is coming straight from the Course, because I always quote the Course in Miracles as well as the Way of Mastery. So if you want to move fast and get the result, what you want to do is, like for instance, if it says each time you hold an unloving thought, you're going to experience the effect of that thought. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's what it just said in the other part that you just read.
Okay. Okay.
It said essentially the exact same thing. What? When I substitute something from love, then I'm going to experience the karma or the vibration coming back to me that's similar to what I've given out. And an idol is anything that I'm valuing other than love. So that would be the way of mastery's definition of an idol. It's anything that I value more than love. Like for instance, an idol is anything I value more than my peace. If I value a relationship more than my peace, it's an idol. Whatever I value more than my peace is an idol. And so an idol is a false idea. An idol is a false belief.
You just helped me see something, because I value this idea of needing to get it over peace.
Right.
That's an idol.
Well, that's an idol for 90% of probably, I think, the people that you see everywhere you go all day. Okay. We have such a drive to get. An appetite is a getting mechanism. It's our way of distracting ourselves from focusing on the truth, you know. But that's okay. So I welcome the comment, good. Because whatever you say, especially if it's coming from a real place, it's always going to be something that other people are wondering about also. But I want to keep on emphasizing that one of the tricks is to focus all my attention on the thing that I least understand. At least, because in linear learning, the way we've been taught, that's what you're supposed to do. So I understand you doing that. But in terms of circular learning, what we're learning, the way we learn this is to trust that it's a unified thought system and that you're going to get the same truth coming at you from many different directions until you hear it in a way that makes sense to you. Okay, so I'm not discouraging you from asking a question. I'm just giving you tips about what the material itself teaches. I'm not making this up. I'm saying what it's saying back to you to save you some time. Peter.
Yeah, so I continually attract to me abusive relationships.
Can't hear you.
I continually attract to me abusive relationships because that's what I guess I know. So today, I pressed, the red button of an atomic attack. And the pain that I'm feeling right now, I just as soon die. I don't even know what I'm asking, to be perfectly honest.
All I want you to do is feel free to express what's coming up for you right now and allow it. I can't, I'm going to look at you with compassion, but I can't go deep into an analysis of what you went through today. You know what I'm saying? This isn't the place for me to do that. Yeah. But what I do want to do is remind you that you need to breathe, and what you're experiencing is a call for love, and that the way you're feeling right now is coming from what you're telling yourself right now, because right now you are safe, you're surrounded by people who see you as deserving love. So everything that's going on is something you're telling yourself and something that you're feeling as a result of how you're interpreting something that happened before you got here.
Yeah. It was an unloving thing that I did.
Okay, so my point is, if the only way to get past the pain is you have to be willing to breathe, to feel your feelings, and to remind yourself that it's a call for love. That whatever you did, it's a call for love. And that's what it is. See, when we are going through painful things, that's when we need the truth that we're studying the most. But that's always when we don't tend to use it.
Well, that's why I came here.
Okay, and so that shows that there's a degree of self-love that you have for yourself, because you had enough presence of mind and desire for love that you came in spite of how you were feeling. And so I wish I could do more, but there's not more than I can do right now in the middle of the class.
It's just an attack on myself.
That's it, and it's your. But if saying it's an attack upon yourself does not make you feel better,
No.
then you don't tell yourself it's an attack upon yourself. Okay, there are many different truths that we can say to ourselves that we learned, and so you never use a truth that is not giving you any level of comfort. So I would never say it's an attack upon myself unless saying that made me go, oh, this is an attack upon myself, I need to stop that. But if I say it's an attack upon myself and then that becomes something else that I'm beating myself up about, then that is not the truth that you should use. That's the truth your ego is telling you to use.
Oh, wow.
So the truth that God is telling you to use, notice that to say what you're doing is calling for help. What you're doing is calling for love. That sounds much more confident than saying I'm just attacking myself. So you have our ego, the part of us that wants to keep us separate from God, the part of us that wants to believe we're guilty and sinful at some level, it takes whatever we are going through and then tries to use that to make us feel worse instead of better.
Yeah.
Right? So it's going to make you even use the truth in a way that would try to make you feel worse.
Totally.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is breathe. Let yourself hear as much as you possibly can. And in this moment, Peter, you're safe. In this moment, nothing is attacking you. In this moment, you're in the presence of someone that's saying, what's really happening right now, and I don't even have to know what the detail is, but I know from a spiritual level, what's happening is your ego is trying to do what it normally does. Every time you begin to really think good about yourself, and every time you begin to feel like you deserve love, it comes up and tries to get us to do something or to say something or to act out something that makes us feel like crap. So that we'll believe that everything we've studied and everything we're studying isn't true and doesn't work. That's called a defense against the truth. And I see everybody do it, I do it, and I see it around me all the time. As soon as I start to change how I feel about myself and I start caring more about myself, then the part of me that thinks I do not deserve it immediately creates some type of situation and some type of circumstance to make me believe none of this works. I really am a horrible person. I'm really not getting this. That is what's really happening. Regardless of the form it looks like, regardless of the thing that you would tell me specifically that you've done, that's the form. What you want to always get in touch with is what is the purpose. The purpose is to get you to feel like there is no love, there is no God, you're a horrible person, you're on your own, you're alone, you're not cared about, and the truth doesn't work. And that's exactly what's happening at this very moment. And so I'm saying to you, feel your feelings. All of us go through what you're going through. We go through it at different times, and we may not be going through it around a group of people, but we go through the exact same thing. We just do it at different times, so we're tempted to think we're different. You know, so you're innocent. That's the truth. You may be making a mistake in your thinking. You may think you've done something horrible, whatever it was. But whatever that thing is, you're still a holy child of God. You're still not your body. You're still innocent. It may have just been a mistake or an error, and it's always an error in thinking. As a matter of fact, you are experiencing exactly what I just got to read. Each time you hold an unloving thought, you are going to experience the effect or the fruit of that thought. Right now, you're thinking unloving thoughts about yourself, and so you're experiencing the fruit of that, which is the sadness that you're feeling right now. That's what he meant. That's what he meant when he said karma. See, now you're not giving yourself unconditional love, so now you are experiencing karma. You're experiencing the result of thinking that you are not innocent right now and thinking that you don't deserve love. That's why it's called karma. Does that make sense to everybody? That's what's going on right now. So, it's not going to work. It never will ultimately work. But the worst thing that a person can do is try to repress the feeling, pretend they're not having the feeling, or think that they are somehow bad because they're willing to go ahead and express what they're feeling right now. So, brother, let peace extend from my mind to yours. That's all that I can do is reach out in love and remind you of the love. But your part in the process is you've got to be willing to tell yourself something other than what you're telling yourself right now. You got to. Because what you're feeling right now is, and that's why I said it's a call for love. It's a call for God. It's a call for love. And if you say it's a call for love, it doesn't mean that immediately you're going to go, oh, it's a call for love. Now I feel 100% better. No. Whatever you say is a call for love, and you say that when you're in a deep emotional turmoil, you're putting a lot of feeling behind the thought. And the way you manifest the thought is through feeling. You got to mix feeling with the thought in order for it to have an effect. That's why anger tends to seem to produce more results sometimes in loving thoughts. Not because the loving thoughts aren't more powerful, it's just that we don't get as excited about the truth and love and our innocence as we do if somebody's upset us. If I'm mad, I'm but I say that you're innocent. I'm innocent. See what I'm saying? It's a call for love. But look at the emotion and the feeling that you're putting behind what you think you've done wrong. And then how little emotion and feeling you're putting behind the idea that it's a call for love. And that's why it looks like the negative thoughts manifest faster than the so-called positive thoughts. We accept the negative thoughts about ourselves immediately. And then we hear we are innocent, we're infinite, we deserve love, that we're not alone, that God is real.
That hurts.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
We don't put energy behind the loving stuff.
Wow.
Crazy.
We put all our energy behind the things that upset us.
Yeah.
And what we don't understand is, as long as you're on the planet, there will be one thing after another thing, after another thing, after another thing, after another thing, after another thing that you would be tempted to forget the truth about. So being in the classes is not about helping us avoid disturbances, which is the way the average person lives their life. They're just trying to avoid being disturbed rather than get in touch with what is it within me that is feeling this disturbance and how can I get rid of that. It becomes more like I'm trying to avoid it. So what you're doing is you are allowing it to come up, but I'll bet you anything before whatever it was happened that you're upset about, you were happy. I bet you anything. You were feeling some level of peace. You were feeling good about yourself. And then all of a sudden this showed up. How many of y'all are familiar with that? All of us. We do it all the time because there's a part of us, and people don't like to admit that, but there's a part of us that thinks it's sinful and it's guilty and it doesn't deserve love.
Yeah.
It's just there. It's buried, it's hidden. And so the Course in Miracles and Way of Mastery says, when you start to try to believe that other than that lie that your whole life has been built on, that lie part of you, it does everything it can to defend against this new perception of yourself. So you find yourself self-sabotaging. You find yourself doing everything that you know will create some form of pain for you, to prove that you really are not worthy, because that's what I believe about myself at an unconscious level. And that's what he's saying here, that the first effect is immediate, but the second effect is being mediated through forms of time, which is exactly what you're going through, brother. You're mediating this through forms of time now. It's lasting 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. You see what I mean? We either do it immediately or we keep meeting it out to ourselves over a period of time. So, let me see online what we're hearing now. Okay. No. I'm feeling the energy increasing. Earl?
Another way to look at this is that the world teaches us that if we do something that is considered wrong, the best way for us to be good people again is to give ourselves pain through guilt, to punish ourselves for that, instead of concentrating on the learning and correction that will really be a lot more positive than simply whipping ourselves and thinking that's going to make us a better person.
And that's exactly true. Like right now, there is a part of you, my brother, that the solution to the situation that you're going through that's painful is just what my brother just said. I'm going to punish myself. So right now you're punishing yourself. And so that's the solution that the ego part of the mind has come up with. Whatever I think I did, I'm going to beat myself up right now unmercifully. Because when I punish myself, we all know when you do something wrong, the correction according to the world is what? Punish you. So what happens is we do that to ourselves. When I think I've done something wrong, then I'm going to punish myself. And when I get through punishing myself, I let myself feel better again. That's why no matter what is being said right now, it doesn't make any difference right now. Because the way to handle whatever happened to you right now is for you to feel bad about it. And so that's being seen as the way that I get out of whatever it was I just did. So when I say, so every time I'm saying something to try to make you feel better, there's going to be a part that resists that, because the solution is not for you to feel better. You did something wrong. You don't deserve to feel better. So then the block comes up, because the way I'm going to get out of this is through self-punishment. Let me suffer for a while, because it's through my suffering I will absolve myself from the crime I just committed before I came in here. Because that's the way we've been programmed. And people say, I didn't hear that when I was growing up. You grew up in this guilt-ridden society that we live in, that guilt is the way you deal with everything. And whether you were in religion or not in religion, or that's sort of like in the mass consciousness of our society. It's all about us feeling guilty about every friggin' thing that we do. And so when I turn around and say you're innocent, that is opposite to what a part of you wants to hear as possible. You know, what it wants to hear is you are that bad person, you are that horrible person, and you do need to suffer. That's what the ego part wants me to say to you. And so I'm not saying that to you. So the part that wants to hear that to feel absolved is not going to buy into that at all. So what do? You feel your feelings in safety and recognize that I have experienced exactly what you have experienced. There's nothing you're doing that everybody in this room doesn't do about one thing or another. That's a fact. The biggest illusion going is that we're different. We aren't different.
Alone.
And that we're different. I'm just like people, I'm different. No, you're not. You want to be special, and you're doing everything you can to possibly be special. And sometimes you think you've done something wrong, and then you have a tendency to punish yourself, or you take responsibility for what's happening to you, or you see yourself as a victim of what happened to you. It's what we all do. We just do it in our own flavor. So what we're supposed to do is see our brother is innocent, see him as the light, regardless of what he's going through right now. That's our job as saviors. Not to fix him, not to rescue him, but to see him with compassion and to see and remember the truth about him that he is temporarily forgetting. And if anyone feels led or drawn to do a physical comforting and that person is open to that, then feel free to do that. You know, if he wants to and you feel up to it and you're drawn to that and you feel like putting your arm around Peter and saying it's going to be all right, then do that. But not from the perspective that he is anything he's going through. He is not the guilt. He's not the fear. And he's not the pain. That's how you handle it from our perspective. Okay. Kenneth, welcome. Shirley, welcome. Marion, welcome to the Way of Mastery, the deep way of mastery. Okay. I'm glad you didn't separate yourself, Peter, and you love yourself enough to come and to be in a place where you'd be seen correctly. That means you love yourself more than you hate yourself. If you truly hated yourself, you wouldn't have showed up. You would not have come. The person that hates themselves would have just isolated themselves more, or got into communication with people who would reinforce the guilt that they're feeling. I can always tell how I want to feel about something I've done by who, if I feel led to reach out, I can tell by who I'm led to reach out to how I want to feel about what I've done. Because I know who I'm going to call that I'm not going to get compassion. and I know who I can call that I'm going to. We all do. We all know who's going to give us compassion and who's going to give us judgment. So who you reach out to when you're feeling upset says a lot about how you want to feel about what's going on. Okay. So the next section is called Unloving Thoughts Alter the Chemical Balance of Your Body. This is a very, very awesome section. But before I do that, any questions or any comments, or anybody have anything they want to say? Okay. Okay. Elizabeth, it's great to see you online. You said thank you for dropping the truth bombs. That's exactly what I want to do, because I need the truth bombs.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm glad that people feel like they can come to my classes or watch what I'm doing and don't feel like they have to be perfect all the time, because that's crap. Okay, to me, that's my judgment. When I see people always pretend like they feel good all the time about whatever's happening, let me see you float and levitate around the room too while you're at it. Okay, you're just probably in tremendous levels of denial, and that's okay if you choose to do that. But you can't be surrounded by people who go up and down, have fear, love, peace, conflict, and you are completely not connected to anything around you, is not being attracted to you by your vibration whatsoever. That's not true. So, here we go. In the first level of karma, he says, in that which is immediate, the very moment you think an unloving thought, as a physically embodied being, you immediately alter the electrical flow of energy throughout your physical body. So right now, in feeling unhappy, what am I doing? I am immediately altering the electrical flow that's going throughout my whole physical body. So whenever I'm unhappy, whenever I feel unloving, whenever I feel angry, whenever I feel guilty, it is completely affecting the electrical flow of my physical body. So that means when you're upset and you're experiencing an unloving, angry thought, you are immediately altering the chemical balance of your body, and so then you experience tightness in the body, sadness perhaps, depression, and an overall ill-at-ease feeling. So what do I do? Earl is feeling an unloving thought. How does he handle it? Well, I could handle it by just doing it like the world says, see myself as a victim and a horrible being, that things are happening to me that I have nothing to do with. Or I could say to myself, right now, I'm feeling this feeling, and it's an unloving feeling about myself. It's affecting the electrical flow in my body. The chemical balance of my body is being affected right now, and that's what's creating my feeling of sadness and depression and my overall ill-at-ease feeling. But every loving thought, not just the big ones that you really get your attention wrapped around, but even the small unloving thoughts, this is still happening. Depression can only occur in a mind that has been denying its pathway to joy. So, how would a conscious being deal with their depression? Depression always comes from feeling like there's something that you want that you're being denied. So what I would do then is say, what the truth is telling me to say. I know I think I'm depressed because this thing that happened today that I wanted to happen, but what I'm really depressed about is that I'm denying the pathway to my joy right now. Instead of saying I feel depressed, I'd go, Earl, you feel depressed? Yeah, man, I feel depressed. I'm denying the pathway to my joy right now. I'm denying the pathway to my joy right now. I'm denying the pathway to my joy right now. So that's what you could say to yourself. Right now, I'm denying the pathway of joy. I'm feeling these feelings. It's coming from my unloving thoughts. It's affecting my whole body. I'm feeling it in my body. So right now, I'm denying the pathway to joy. What does that mean? That depression is the result of a resistance to the true flow of life throughout your whole body and throughout your whole mind. So what I'm doing now is I'm resisting love. I'm thinking something that's a resisting love. I'm feeling something that's me resisting love. That's why I'm depressed. I'm resisting love. Love got too close. A change of mind got too close. Accepting the truth about myself got too close. Then it says this resistance can occur in many ways. The resistance can be the result of not feeling a feeling to its completion. So that's why the first thing I did was I suggested to my brother what? What was the first thing I said? Feel your feelings. Feel your feelings. Because we want to do just the opposite. First of all, it's embarrassing. We want to look good to everybody all the time. So even the fact that I'm willing to be vulnerable and share that I feel hurt right now is a big enough challenge. And so for someone to say, go ahead and feel that feeling, I think I should not be feeling my feelings of depression. I should not be feeling my feelings of guilt or anger. And so by you even telling me, go ahead and feel it, I'm going to resist that. I think that's something I should not be feeling. But actually, when you don't feel the feeling, then you keep it from completing itself and moving through you. And that's why it says, this resistance can be the result of not feeling a feeling to its completion, withholding a simple truth, and more often than not, you are feeling the depression because you're denying the impulse of your heart. I'm not feeling my heart. I'm out of my heart right now. I'm out of my love space right now. That's what I'm feeling. My ego wants me to get into the physical thing that happened that I think is making me feel that way. And that's the trick. The trick is for me to tell myself the truth. I'm denying my path to joy. I am resisting a true flow of life throughout my body. I am not allowing my feelings to be expressed until they move to completion. I am denying my heart. See, when I get to the point that I say that, other than that I'm mad at my mama because she didn't call me like she said I was, now I'm healing my mind.
Yes.
So if I'm focusing in on the physical thing that I think happened in the outer world, I'm not solving my depression. I'm not solving my depression until I tell myself the truth about it. And the truth about it is I'm denying thought, I'm denying my joy, there's an unloving thought that I'm having in my mind, and also I'm resisting the true flow of life, and I'm not feeling my feelings to completion, and I'm trying to repress them and suppress them.
Yeah.
That's what's going on, and therefore I feel depressed and I feel sad. So that's why I study this stuff so much, because I don't believe you can change your mind and don't do any attention and spiritual study. I just don't believe it. I might be wrong, but I don't believe you can change the way you're thinking unless you give yourself new thoughts to think.
Yeah.
And I don't see, and when a person never works on their spiritual path, they never study, they never read, they never meditate, they're just making up everything as they go along, that's why things don't change. I've got to have a new set of thoughts that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell myself those thoughts when I'm upset. But I won't know what to tell myself when I'm upset if I don't have a curriculum. So whoever's watching online as well as everybody in this book, you're not sincere about changing your mind if you don't have any kind of a spiritual path that you're following. That's my judgment on you. If you're just complaining and you're not happy, but all you're doing is trying to think of the next thing outside of yourself that you think you're going to get in order for you to be happy, you are not awakening. I'm sorry, you're not. If your solution is, I'm miserable so I need to find a person, or I'm miserable so I need to go make some money, you're doing what everybody else in the world does. So you're not really doing anything any different from anybody else. That's what everybody who doesn't know the truth do. They always think they got to get something or somebody else to be different for them to be happy. So it says, as you begin to walk a spiritual path, you realize you need to be open to the guidance of the Holy Spirit. I need to be open to the guidance of my higher self. And if I'm walking a spiritual path. Then it says, and that in fact, and I want to give anybody kudos who try to follow any kind of spiritual path, especially a spiritual path that's non-traditional, and you are an American. Because this is the most materialistic country in the world. This is the country of materialism, where we are taught from day one our happiness is in stuff and things.
Yeah.
That it is. We're taught that your happiness is in physical, material things. That's our culture. And so for us to be swamped all the time with everything we need to buy, we need to own, and we need to get, for us, for some reason, to go, I'm going to come to a way of master class, or I'm going to study a spiritual truth, or I'm going to have a spiritual practice, you got to be extraordinary.
Oh, thank you.
But think about it, because think about it. I mean, even in most cases, what goes for spirituality here is dogmatic religious beliefs. So even the people who think that they are religious tend to be extraordinarily judgmental. And it's rooted in an idea of guilt and fear. So even if they try to be spiritual, it's still based on, like a lot, and I used to do this too, it's like a lot of people believe that a sign of your spiritual progress is how much your life improves materially. So if I get a bigger house, a bigger car, a bigger bank account, then I must be really getting it together spiritually. And I used to hear that and also took part in that. It was like the spirituality of prosperity, where God loves you and you doing this right. If you go from $30,000 a year to $300,000 a year, you must evidently be really in God's good grace. So there's a tendency here to judge your value by what you have rather than what you are. So all of these things are tricks to make sure you'll never be happy. They're tricks. It's always more. I always got to have more. I can never be satisfied. It's always got to be more. So he's saying, really, in order to be, happy, you need to be open to the guidance of the Holy Spirit, and that, in fact, you cannot awaken yourself. You cannot awaken yourself, because if you could awaken yourself, you would have already done it. So you cannot wake yourself up to your higher self. You don't wake you up. Your higher self wakes you up. And he says, then the opportunities, when you are ready, the opportunities are presented that contain within those opportunities all that you need to awaken from your illusion. So when I say I really want to love myself, I really want to wake up to my true self, I really want to know my true identity, the universe, my higher self, is going to give me opportunities that contain within these opportunities an opportunity to wake up.
Yeah.
So I have relationships that start showing up that help me wake up. Everything in my life, like what you're going through right now, brother, is really an opportunity being presented to you to awaken from whatever the illusion is. And the illusion is whatever you're telling yourself that's keeping you from loving yourself. That's the illusion.
Oh, it's so good.
So, but he says you resist it. Why? Because it doesn't conform to your image of yourself. If right now my image of myself is that I'm a bad person, then I'm going to resist seeing this as an opportunity for me to wake up. Because right now I don't think I love myself. And I don't want to wake up to who I really am. So, how do we resist? He's getting ready to tell us why. This is how you resist. He says, there are many ways in which you can resist. What is that? Create a blockage in the flow of energy throughout your whole system. It's all around some form of negative thought. Every blockage is around some form of negative thought. All negativity is just an expression of fear. Any form of negativity in yourself, any form of negativity in the world is some expression of fear. Growing up as a man, the thing that men used to be taught, and I still see it a lot, is never admit you're afraid. Say anything but that you're scared of something. You do not go, if you're a man, you don't go, I'm really feeling afraid right now. Men tend not to want to say that. I hear men say stuff like, I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of anything. Right? And also to use anger as a substitute for fear. So rather than admit I'm afraid, I'm going to get angry.
Yeah.
And I'm going to show you that, because anger still makes me seem tough.
Yeah.
But if I say I'm afraid, that seems like I'm some kind of wuss. So I'm not going to say I'm afraid. Where women tend to get the luxury of being able to go boo hoo 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 hoo. So they get through their stuff out. Men don't do that. You know, one of the things I've noticed a lot in watching young men, especially young men of color, is that feeling of powerlessness can be so much in their communities and what they've grown up with, that they try to look as hard and as tough as they possibly can.
Sure.
And that's totally because they're afraid and they feel powerless. So you see them, you know, and that's all fear. And so what we do is we get fooled by the form that the fear is showing up in, and don't realize the person that's angry and going off with the scowl is just as afraid as the person that's going, but we get fooled by it. And the more powerless you feel, the more violent you become. So if you make people feel powerless, they're going to leash out. So that's why when you're with somebody and you are helping to empower them and seeing them as valuable and seeing them as strong, that person will become less inclined to be violent. Because they don't feel helpless. Right? So every form of fear is around some form of negative thought. All attempts to control another are really fear. So if I'm in a relationship with you and I'm trying to control you, I'm not in love with you, I'm in fear with you. Anger is the next sentence. Anger is just another form of fear. So the very moment in which your mind is used to think a negative thought, there's an immediate karmic effect. Given that effect over a period of time, illness is created in the body. So where does illness come from? Illness comes from a negative thought that you believe that you're focusing in on over and over and over again. Fear is sickness from a metaphysical perspective. Anger, there's a line in the Course of Miracles where he says illness is anger taken out on the body.
Illness is anger taken out.
Yeah, illness is anger taken out on the body. And he says the reason why people are so angry and attack their bodies is because their bodies are not giving them the specialness they want. See, we're in a world that people are attracted to people because of how their bodies look. So if I feel like my body is not as attractive, as good a bait as it used to be, I hate my body.
Wow.
And I used to never, I never growing up, I did not like my body at all. Because it was not muscular. And so it was not strong as I wanted it to be. So I wasn't good at sports and all these other things I thought meant something when I was crazy. Okay? You know, because it's crazy. What we judge is crazy. So anyway, so I realized I'm amazed that my body functions as well as it does, considering how much I hated it and how long I hated it.
Wow.
So I know that my body must have more resilience than I could have possibly imagined. Okay? Because it looks like, and then as you get older, you're even more prone to do it because it looks like you don't have that ideal body that people are attracted to. So the temptation is to judge yourself by the way your body looks. Which is the same as saying judging yourself by the way your car looks, your house looks, your status and your prestige. All of those things are your body. When I say your body, I'm not just talking about your physical body. I'm talking about your perception of yourself, your self-image. That's your body. You live within your own self-image. Your environment is your own self-image. The Course in Miracles says you surround yourself by the environment that fits your image of yourself. You do. So I find that more and more I'm trying to downsize my life instead of trying to increase stuff. Because I'm more and more I'm enjoying the freedom of a simple life, that there's not a lot of stuff to take care of.
Wow.
You know, I see more people trying to let me get larger, let me get bigger, let me get larger. I'm like going, no. Let me get simpler, let me get simpler, let me get simpler. Because my happiness is not dependent on any of that anyway. So it's saying to us that illness comes from us constantly having unloving thoughts about ourselves and keeping those thoughts, and depression is then created in your emotional field. Okay, so any thoughts, any ahas, any takeaways, and any comments about any of the stuff that we covered? That was a pretty loaded section. And also online, if you have anything that you want to ask or make a comment on.
Well, I think it's really powerful just recognizing when I'm not feeling peace to be aware that I am denying the pathway to my joy. For some reason, I'm denying my pathway, I'm kinking my hose, and there's an electrical energy because of that. And then I want to see this differently. Okay, this is my call for love, but that's really powerful to me. I am denying my pathway to joy.
And you don't have to remember but one thing.
Yeah.
See, that's what, if that sentence stuck out, then use that one over and over again. I'm denying my pathway to joy.
Yeah.
I'm denying my
And
pathway
I'm still
to joy.
innocent.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But this is what you're doing.
But this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right now I'm denying my pathway to joy. Right now I'm feeling bad because I'm giving myself some kind of an unloving thought. Right now I'm not giving myself unconditional love, so I'm experiencing the result of not giving myself unconditional love, which is some form of fear, sadness, or anger. It's altering the chemical balance of my body. I am making myself sick. Which is deep. Because sometimes people get upset because it's not like you're sitting up consciously saying I'm going to make myself sick. It's just saying if your thoughts do have an effect on your emotions and your body and your experience, then that's just what's happening. It's like if I put my hand on a hot stove and get burned, it's not like the stove is out to get me. It's, flesh doesn't go with stove. Yeah. So there is no stove punishing me. I disobeyed a law. And so that's what it's telling us. If you're unhappy, it's just that you're not obeying the laws of happiness right now. And because you're not obeying the laws of happiness right now, you feel unhappy. But it doesn't mean you're sinful or guilty. It just means you're not obeying the rules that keep you peaceful right now. You're thinking some unloving thought about yourself. So that's why I'm freaky about who I allow myself to get close to in an intimate relationship, because that's going to be my most consistent reflection. So for me to be in a relationship with someone that is supporting me, feeling guilty, or criticizing me, or judging me, or attacking me, is the dumbest thing I can possibly do. Is to be in a relationship or friendships with people who are not empowering you and you're not empowering them. Yeah. That's crazy. Because you choose your friends. Your friends are not forced on you. You don't have to be nobody's friend. So if you're surrounded by people that you call your circle that you don't like none of them, what's wrong with you? Really, what's wrong with you? Why would you surround yourself with people who never acknowledge you, love you, see anything good about you? Wow, because you don't feel that way about yourself. So that's your karma. See, they're giving you back what you're giving yourself, right? They're reflecting back to me how I feel about me. And so I can't leave them because they identify with them. So I want to cut that stuff out. Anybody else? Let's see what we got here. Anybody in here? Jerry says, the pictures we hold in our mind create the chemical reactions eventually manifesting as sickness in the body. So that's why I said, if you don't have a question, then share a takeaway. Because when you get your body involved, even if it's just as simple as saying something, it impacts you. It becomes a part of you.
Well, I've been feeling, this is great, this is just exactly what I've been going through, because I've been feeling a lot of physical ailment and have had a lot of stress and drama and anger and conflict in our experience the last few weeks. And it's like, it's so funny because it coincides with just, I've been feeling ill.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. And so this is powerful. I need to change my thought. I need to open my
and see your illness and see your illness as a deep call for health. So it becomes this week. My deep call for health has taken the form of me having a really bad stomach ache. For example, my deep call for health has taken the form of me having a headache. See, like I said earlier, tell yourself the truth about it, then say what the form is. But tell yourself the truth first. I feel separate from God. It's taken the form of me feeling depressed this week. Tell yourself the truth, then tell yourself the form. That way you don't feel like you're repressing what you're feeling, but you're also using it to remind you of the truth. And that's what you do. That's what you do. I wish I could make it more complicated so it'd be more meaningful to people.
No, thank you.
Really, because we grow up in a society that we think something is more valuable the more complex it is. So the fact that I'm not giving you complex truth can really make people go unconscious. Because we like complexity. Right? So he says, the world will mirror your thoughts and beliefs. The world will mirror your thoughts and beliefs. Okay. How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? Okay. We can stop now, or we can go a little bit further. What do you want to do? Y'all good?
Go.
Okay.
Keep going.
Okay. Okay. All right. The world will mirror your thoughts and beliefs. Because I do my classes anywhere from an hour to 90 minutes. So I just try to feel everybody out. That's why I stop sometime at 8:10, 8:20, because I don't keep doing it just because I said I'm going to do it that long. I'm doing it as long as I feel inspiration happening. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Everybody probably said they're going to fall asleep or go dead. And I go, okay, the end of the class. Thank you. Thank you for coming. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because it doesn't make sense to me to try to get people to care more about it at a certain point. You know what I'm saying? It's like because we already in a world where it looks like we're forced to try to conform to ways that we don't feel in the moment. So I'm really about let's be spontaneous, let's be present, let's see how we're feeling right now, and if we're feeling it, let's do it. Okay. The world will mirror your thoughts and beliefs. Second, there's a mediated form of karmic response, namely that the world around you will, over a period of time, coagulate. Now, what does that mean? It means the world will create itself in a context that will mirror to you that which seems to prove the negative thought that by now you have forgotten you even created. I'll say it again. You are getting the world reflecting back things to you that you thought that you forgot you even thought it. I don't believe that women really look out for me. I'll forget I had that thought and then have a woman that looks like she's not looking out for me and forget I was the one that created that.
So then it looks like, so it just reinforces that
right.
thought.
And I forgot that it's really a thought I had that I forgot about.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Then it goes on to say, then you will have the negative thought again, and you will mistakenly believe that the negative thought is there because of the conditions outside of you, instead of realizing that the thing that's happening to you is happening because you had the thought and forgot about it. So an example would be for someone to see an event occur in life, such as the government raising taxes, and then say, yes, I've always known that that's the way it is. You can't trust a single politician. Yet that person is not seeing that 15 years ago, they decided that politicians couldn't be trusted because they heard it from their father, and they know in his mind that the politicians will always do something to take more money out of their pocket. So then 15 years later, when taxes are raised, the mind says, I knew it. I think I must have been right all along. But do you really see what that person did? This means that that politicians can't be trusted, when in fact, the politicians are merely the manifestation that fulfills the prophecy. It's like our government and everything that's happening politically right now is manifesting the way it is because it represents the collective belief of all the people in the country. Whatever we are seeing is mirroring our collective consciousness.
And we forgot.
Right, and we forgot. You don't trust politicians. You don't think you can trust, politicians. So now politicians look like they're validating the distrust that you had about them in the first place. You can't trust men. Then all of a sudden you trust men, you have men come in your life who disappoint you over and over again, but you don't realize they're just reflecting back to you your belief that you can't trust men. Then you wonder, they just showed up and you miss nice, but you get all the bums. But you don't realize that you're afraid and you don't trust men, and then you get the untrustworthy men and you're like, oh, I'm a victim. Okay? In this way, I want to invite you to look at your life. How are the events that are occurring and the quality of your life you are living possibly reflecting a self-fulfilling prophecy? How many things are going on in your life right now that, if you'll be honest, are just reflections of what you know you tell yourself all the time? In other words, how could it be merely the fulfillment of the karma of how you are using your mind? Usually in this secondary form of the way karma shows up, the beliefs or thoughts are very, very old and deep in your consciousness. I think that's such a powerful statement. Look at your consciousness. Think about an iceberg. And when you see an iceberg, you know that there's a lot more of the iceberg under the water than you see on top of the water. And so that's the way our consciousness works. We have many more unconscious, subconscious beliefs that we don't know about than the few beliefs that we tell ourselves is at the top of the water. And so when a person tells you what they believe, they're just telling you the tip top of the iceberg. But they forget they got this great big iceberg of consciousness underneath, and that's what's creating their reality the most. So people ask, well, how can you get in touch with what's going on in your subconscious mind? How do you keep in touch? It's very simple. It's everything you see. Everything you see is your unconscious. And then you have what you think of as your conscious. So there's an idea I have of myself, that's the top of my consciousness. But then the rest of my consciousness that I'm not identifying with, I see it as somebody else's anger, somebody else's upset, somebody else not being honest, whatever I'm looking at out here is a projection of my own unconscious mind. How I am defining everything I see out here, that's a reflection of my own subconscious mind. Because it's my mind that's interpreting what I'm looking at. So I'm really always looking at my beliefs about what's going on.
Wow.
So as you go back in time and look at your life, ask, what must I have, I love this, what must I have believed previously for this effect to be showing up?
Yep.
What is it that I must have believed to have the life that I'm having right now? What must I be believing to have the relationships I'm having right now? What is it that I must be believing to have the financial situation that I have right now? What is it that I must be believing to have the kind of friends that I have right now? What is it I must be believing to have the kind of career that I have right now? You're fit to have what you have right now. What is it that you must be believing? That's a deep question to ask yourself.
Oh my God.
It will make you completely aware of what your beliefs are. Work back from the physical circumstance. For me to have a mate that abuses me, what must I be believing about myself? For me to be on a job that I hate, what must I be believing about myself? For me to be lonely and to have no friends, what must I be believing about myself? And for me to have these loving, beautiful people in my life right now, what must I be believing about myself? For me to have prosperity and abundance the way I'm experiencing right now, what must I be believing about myself? It works the same way with what you consider to be negative or positive. So I'm not asking you just to dwell on the negative. Look at the areas of your life that you're satisfied with, and then say, what is it that I'm believing that's making this thing to turn out so blasted good in my perception? And then what is it I must be believing about myself in this area that it always seems like it's the one that's creating a challenge for me? Because we need to work back from the effects to the cause. So our thoughts really are not mysteries. They're what we are seeing and experiencing. That's how I feel about myself. So, for instance, if you have no money, look well at what you have believed about money in the past. Especially look to see what were the beliefs about money that my parents held. You know, my mom, bless her heart, what she worried about all the time was money. There was never enough. There was never enough. There was never enough. There was never enough. There was worried about that. So then I would find when I would go into periods where a lot of financial prosperity was happening in my life, instead of feeling really, really happy about it, I would feel uneasy about it. Because I was programmed with, there's the idea that there's not enough. So I'm disobeying my mom. I'm going against what my mom taught me. And you're a kid, so you bind into what your parents say. Some people don't want to allow themselves to even make more money than their parents did. But it's all unconscious. It's all unconscious. So for indeed, as we have touched on before, each soul drops into this world through the context of the parents. There is a context of perception, belief, and attitude that you begin to be colored by because you are accepting that coloration into the field of your own energy as a means of making contact with this world and emerging into it. So what this book just told us was you drop into the world, and once you drop into the world, you're given perception, beliefs, and attitudes that begin to color everything about your experience, and then you just reproduce it. If you grow up like I did, where you were constantly hearing that, you know, because you were black, you couldn't do this, that, or the other, it's easy to get yourself programmed where you tell yourself in situations the reason why you're being oppressed or seemingly done unfair is because you're black. Because your whole context was around being black and what that meant. So to be free, I have to free myself of all concepts. To be free, I've got to free myself of all concepts that I learned about being a man, all the concepts I learned about being a black man, all the concepts that I've learned from society. I have to get beyond the concepts and labels and images that I have given myself from the day I was born if I ever want to be free. Because I'm not those things and you are not those things either. So, because notice it says each soul that drops into this world. So if, for instance, the parents believe that spirituality and material wealth cannot go together, and therefore to be spiritual means to do without materially, then look at how your life has evolved. Do you find a block at receiving money for being of service to others, but no block and receiving money for doing something you dislike. That is exactly what I see and have seen in myself. One of the hardest things about wanting to be a full-time teacher when I decided to do that 30 years ago this year was being told that you can't be taken care of being a truth teacher. That programming, that in order for me to receive income, I had to be doing a job I don't like, just so I can make money to live off of. So most people are much more willing to let money come to them through something they dislike and not willing to let themselves receive money through things that they like, which explains the starving artist, the starving musician, the starving actor, and the starving entrepreneur.
No, thank you.
Why? Because we've been programmed that the easiest way to receive money is through going to a job and working for someone else. So we'll let income come in through the things we don't like. And then we've been told for you to go out here and do your own thing, that's going to be really tough. And that's what it's saying to us right now. Do you find a block at receiving money for being of service to others, doing what your gift is, for instance, but no block in receiving money for doing something you don't like? I didn't like being a manager in the phone company, making good income, totally didn't like what I was doing, and I resigned to do this because they were getting ready to promote me again. They were going to give me more money for doing more stuff that I didn't like. So the more I disliked it, the more I was getting promoted. Because I would have let myself receive money through doing something I didn't like.
Yeah.
Can you relate? Yeah, you see that all around you. You know, so when people tell me they want to quit their job so they can go out and do their own thing, I say, well, you just have the daring of a satisfied stomach. And they go, what are you talking about? Well, you're so ready to quit your job because right now your bills are paid, right now you are receiving an income. That's why you're talking so bold, because you haven't actually had your income stream stop yet. So, but when you actually stop, like I stopped, then that's a whole different mindset that you got to get. And that mindset is, I am sustained by the love of God. I would not be teaching this class if I didn't believe that. You know what I'm saying? Or I'd be worried about, how am I going to pay my rent? You know what I mean? So you can't really be out in the world free, expressing yourself, only depending on your own ego. You can't be, it's my own ingeniousness, it's my own marketing ability, it's who I know, it's the influences I have. It's like, that is not the attitude that will create any kind of peace if you're going to be self-employed and doing your own thing. You know, you're an atheist. And an atheist is just somebody who believes they're alone doing it on their own. An atheist is not just a person who says, I don't believe in God. An atheist is anybody who thinks they're doing anything on their own. That's an atheist. And a martyr is anybody that believes that God or love demands sacrifice and suffering. So if I love you, I got to suffer and I got to sacrifice. I can't do anything just for the sheer joy of it. I got to sacrifice. So watch out for being a martyr and an atheist, or an atheist martyr. You know, I'm alone and I have to sacrifice and suffer. Yeah. So live in that question, beloved friends, and begin to apply it to the whole of your life. And as you look at your life, look at the effects you experience as your surroundings. Look at the effects. What's the effects? What you are experiencing as your surroundings in your context. Are you alone with no lover or friends? What have you believed about the world previously? Because somewhere it's in the nature of your thoughts, the agreements you have made unconsciously or consciously about what things mean. You are experiencing the agreements you have made with the family and the culture in which you have been birthed, that has actually generated the energy that is showing up as the effects you experience in your life. What thoughts or beliefs were you holding within your mind? I remember the first time I did a fire walk. I didn't even know I was going to do a fire walk. Friends invited me to come watch it. And I went to watch the fire walk. It was friends of mine. So they actually built the fire. It wasn't like it was a fake fire, okay? They built the fire, and I watched them walk it without getting burned. And because I saw my friends do it, it made me think, well, maybe I can do it too. So, and then there was a reporter from the local newspaper, the main newspaper, like the Denver Post type newspaper. He was there watching us because he was there to report on these nuts. And so he showed up, and we did a workshop before we did the firewalk. And the workshop, the person doing the workshop said the issue is not whether or not you do the firewalk. The issue is, will you listen to yourself? And if yourself says don't do it, don't do it. And if yourself says do it, do it. Because it's much more about will you learn how to listen to your guidance than it is whether or not you walk the hot coals. Right? So I saw my friends do it, and so I put on my shoes and I did it. Okay, so I walked across the hot coals. It felt like I was walking on a carpet barefooted. And I walked around the other side, and I couldn't hardly believe I had done it. So I went and I did it again. And then I said, well, I'm going to do it one more time. And I moonwalked the last time. I moonwalked backwards across the coals. And you know, after doing all of that and see myself not being burned, saw that there was some level of consciousness I went into, because some people do get burned.
Sure.
And so, but then I didn't. And then I realized that if I could remember the way I felt when I did that, that I would be able to get in touch with the way I'm supposed to feel when I do something. And and if I don't feel that way, don't do it. So it was beautiful that I was given a way of being able to tell when I'm in tune. And I kept that with me. But then after going through that and seeing that miracle of doing that, later on I was worried about my credit cards. You see what I'm saying? Like you have a miracle, and then you go right back to the same old mundane thinking and just completely overlook the miracle that you just got through experience. You got to watch your ego mind. Your ego mind will try to wipe out every truth, every realization of the truth that comes to you. And that's where we're going to end up tonight. What thoughts or beliefs are you holding in your mind? So let's give it up for those of you online, thank you, Mary. And she said, damn, Earl, and don't be, it's interesting, she says, don't be black blind. And a woman with all that you said, too. You're so happy to be a happy learner. You know, it's like, we are such a blessing for each other right now. So I'm going to do the financial expression of appreciation. For those of you who would like to share with me, that's fine. I love you if you do, and I love you if you don't. Okay? That's the way I feel about you. Those of you online, if you'd like to share because you see value in my teaching ministry and what comes through me for you, please go to my website, earlpurdy.com. I really would appreciate whatever you'd like to share to support my teaching ministry. I'm available for one-on-one sessions by Skype or on the phone that are called clarity sessions, where we work with your particular issues to help remove that block. And also I'm available to give you my knowledge through astrology and numerology, which is another way of receiving information from the universe. Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Go to earlpurdy.com. Okay, every Tuesday, 7 o'clock, online, Mountain Time, Way of Mastery. Thursday night, I'm doing a Course of Love, which is very, very powerful. It's to the heart what the Course in Miracles is to the mind. If you want to remove all the blocks from your ability to receive in your heart, then check out the Course of Love, 7 o'clock, Mountain Time, all on my Facebook page. Also, in the Course of Miracles, 1 o'clock on Sundays, Mountain Time. I love to be a means for love and the truth coming through me. Tonight was really interesting from within myself. I could feel my ego really trying to resist a lot about what was trying to come through me tonight. It was like I had to constantly get out of the way, get out of the way. My ego's feeling threatened about something. Was
it about a specific thing, can I ask? I don't know if that's too personal.
No, it's just that sometimes my ego just gets sick of me. You know, because I'm on this. I'm on this all the time.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop because the class stopped.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So the part of me that feels like I don't deserve love, that's buried in my unconscious, comes up to try to make me feel like I shouldn't be doing this, or that I don't deserve the love. You know what I mean? So I'm doing this because I'm also purging myself of ego and the ego beliefs. So that's why I'm so grateful that you all are willing to come here in person. I love people being online, but it also means a lot to me that people value what we're doing enough to come together, because it's good to be looking at each other and in the presence of each other. So either one is beautiful, and I'm grateful for that. But I like the fact that I show up and some people show up. I do.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because it is easy after a hard day at work and the call for God traffic in Denver to go, I'm just going to stay at home. So I want to give you extra kudos for being willing to come out, and I'm going to ask for a love offering. You stay home, you don't get to do none of that. So I just want y'all to know I appreciate that.
Hopefully they do online too. I'll just say that. Hopefully you get love offerings online too. When people go to your website
but
and they
not
can
nearly in proportion to the number of people that's watching.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's okay. That means we don't know how to give yet, really. That's okay. We're learning. I'm learning too. I'm learning how to share.
Yeah.
We were talking about earlier about the program. That people have an unconscious resistance and judgment many times of anybody that does any kind of spiritual consciousness work. They think they're not supposed to receive income from it.
That's ridiculous.
But it's very common. It's like if you're spiritual, you're not supposed to. You don't have to eat. You don't have to pay rent. You don't have to. You're spiritual. But see, but God works through us. Or as you would see $1,000 manifest on your dining room table. But we're not ready for that. So what I do is just focus in on the source and on the channel. People have no problem with the football player making $20 million a year. No problem whatsoever. They hear a doctor makes $200,000 and they go, He's trying to make that dude is saving people's lives. But we have resentment about him receiving how much he charges. But a basketball player can make $100 million and everybody go, oh, great. and so that's because the Course says we're in a world where people value the valueless. It's almost like the less meaning it has, the more successful it is at the level of the world. Ask the guy who invented the pet rock and became a millionaire. Okay? It's got to be meaningless for the ego mind to be interested in it. The Kardashians are worth $300 million, okay? And they're famous for being famous. They don't play an instrument, they don't act, they don't do
Famous for being stupid.
They are so, but think about that.
Yeah.
Think about that. And I'm not a hater. I'm not hating the Kardashians at all. I'm saying that's amazing. To me, that's freaking amazing. That you can generate $300 million empire and you do nothing but have people watch you do nothing. You got to give people like that kudos. Come on now.
Yeah.
That's pretty tough. That's pretty deep when you think about it. You know what I'm saying? And everybody trying to look like you. It's like, wow. But you talk about saving souls, or healing minds. Like you lucky if you get $10. You know what I'm saying? So you have to laugh. Because because you have to get to that point in your spiritual development that you realize you're creating it. Whatever I'm receiving, I'm creating. I'm creating whatever income I have. I'm creating whatever relationships I have. I'm creating all of it. It's not anybody to get upset with. I receive as much as I am willing to accept. And no more and no less. And so that's cool to know, because that means if I change my mind, I can have a different experience. That means that I'm not trapped. It doesn't depend on anybody else. Earl just has to, like you said, unkink his holes. Get rid of the blocks to my receiving. But I refuse to any longer think my happiness depends on it. That I absolutely am not going to buy into anymore. That there's any amount of money that's going to make me happy, or any amount of special love that's going to make me happy, or any amount of fame that's going to make me happy, that there's any amount of physical pleasure that's going to make me happy. That much I've gotten over the years. That ain't the truth. And so I feel good about that, because that means I could be happy tonight.
That's right.
That's right. If it's not dependent on any of that stuff, then I could have it tonight. So, any takeaways before we leave out?
Yeah, I just love that you do need guidance, because we were just in the car like 10 minutes before this class started, and I'm going through some special relationship drama, and we're trying to figure it out, and we're like, well, isn't that the reason we're going to this class? Isn't that the reason we're going to this? And I love this today, I read this: being on a spiritual path does not prevent you from facing times of darkness, but it teaches you how to use the darkness as a tool to grow.
Right.
I love that.
Right,
man.
just like we were saying earlier about, once you say you want to wake up, you're going to be presented with opportunities that give you the opportunity to awaken. And that's what's happening right now. with us. Anybody else have a takeaway?
Well, just what must I have believed previously for this effect to be showing up?
Oh yeah. What is it that I must have believed for this effect to be showing up? I just want to say it to make sure everybody online can hear.
Yeah. So like money for me, like I've come into a little money, but like I find myself worrying about like, ooh, how much am I spending of it, and I can't spend too much, and I just put all this energy of worry into it because like my family, they believe in like they don't have enough money and we need to save money for a rainy day, and so you ain't gonna have that money for that rainy day, and so and it's like I'm being crazy over this amount of money.
Right. Which means that I'm not seeing God as the source and supply of my prosperity. I'm seeing the money as the source and supply of my security. So that's a good opportunity for you to remember that whatever created that is what you want to get in touch with.
Yeah.
More so than getting caught up on the effect itself.
Yeah.
Because if you are trying to save it for a rainy day, you're creating a rainy day for you to spend it on. Right? If I'm saving it for a rainy day, then I'm saying I'm projecting I'm going to have something happen that I'm going to need to use my money for. Remember the mirror?
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. That's a good point, Peter.
I would just like to say that being in the presence of love, like in this room, is powerfully healing. And I want to thank everybody for being here because there's a great part of me that thought I could just go home and check out.
Brother, I'm glad you loved yourself enough to come.
Me too, Peter. Good job.
Yeah,
Good job.
absolutely. That was an act of self-love.
Yes, it is.
What you did coming tonight. Anybody online? Let's see what we got before we go out. That's funny. Kenneth said, "Great stuff. I retired from the phone company." Also, what's really funny though, y'all, this is the trip. If I had stayed at the phone company, I would have been retired by now, and I would be a millionaire. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because I was one of those people that every time I got a raise, I put it in the credit union and continued to live off of whatever I was already making because I was always thrifty. And with compound interest over 30-something years, you will have $1 million when you finish. Plus whatever the pension was from being in management, plus Social Security. So right now, I could be a millionaire, but I would not change one thing about that because I've done what I've wanted to do every day for the last 30 years. Wow.
Yeah, you may not be alive. It could have killed you if you were
That's my
going
point.
into a job that you hated every day.
That's my point. That's my point. Is that the gratification I've gotten from following my heart far surpassed me doing something I hated every day, so that I would have a retirement fund. Again, that's me. Now, I always keep emphasizing with people that's me. Some people, they thrive in a structured work environment where they do go to work every day and they love that job. So I'm not putting that down at all. I was just one of those people who that just absolutely did not work for me. So I walked out of the world when I was 26. So since I was 26 years old, I've been living by trust and faith and doing what this says to the best of my ability. That's why when I'm talking and teaching, I'm not talking from a theoretical perspective. And I've had lots of money, and I've had Lexuses and Mercedes, and I've had all the things, y'all don't know that about me, but I've had all those things that I see people striving for. And what I learned when I got all those things it's fine, but they don't make you happy in and of itself, and being broke don't make you happy either. So it's not like I'm going, oh, happiness is in having nothing. No, I'm not advocating that at all. I'm just saying that I realized it didn't make any difference. The part of my mind that would come up with something for me to be upset about still continued to function no matter what my physical condition was. So it wasn't until I started to study spiritual stuff and apply how do I get rid of those beliefs that's creating my lack of happiness that the breakthrough happened. And that's what our spiritual study does. All right, mighty companions. I appreciate you, Trudy, Jenny, Mika. I love how we are all joined together. Y'all got some cool, mighty companions. Trudy says, we're not aware that there is a condition of peace of mind in existence that is not conditioned. We only know our conditioning. We are caught up in this trap of I am this and I am that, and we lose sight of who we are. Mighty Companions, I love you. Thanks for coming out tonight. And Peter, thank you for being willing to come no matter what's happened right now. I love you online. You all are awesome and beautiful. Don't forget to share this video. Thank you all for coming tonight so much.
Thank you, Earl.